Welcome to Doughboys Double. I'm Nick Weiger, along with the Spoon Man, Mike Mitchell. Mitch,
Wags.
you and I rarely fanboy out over our guests.
It's happening
but
today.
This is very, very exciting. We have had a recent discussion on the podcast about this particular guest who we'll bring in 1 second. But we did our in the recent past, as of this recording, we did our Munch Madness live finale.
Yep.
And all of us discussed, the two of us, as well as our friends Nicole Byer, Lauren Lapkus. We're all talking about the Sandwiches of History account. And we're like, we should get that. And we mentioned we've been trying to get this guy on the show. It's been tough to make the scheduling work, but we finally figured it out today. It's finally happening. We can't blow this.
We're gonna blow it.
We're gonna blow it.
But this, I was just telling our guests, this is someone I watch.
Yeah.
In my bed. It's late at night. I got Wally to the left of me, Irma to the right. Here I am,
Stuck in the middle with Chew.
And it's right because I'm watching.
Because you're watching.
I'm watching Sandwiches of History.
That's right. And Mitch, before we introduce our guest, I do want to get on the same page with this, because this is another way we can blow this thing. Our guest has
no. I think our guest has a
family audience.
Yeah, and
so
we don't want to blow it for our guest.
Right, and so has requested that would this be like a PG episode as opposed to...
Well, I've requested.
You've requested it to be a PG episode.
Yeah.
All right, maybe we could keep that going moving forward.
No.
Okay. But for today, I think before we introduce our guest, just to get it out of our systems, we should each say one swear. And we can bleep it if needed.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. But
our guest. You almost blew it with our guest. You didn't even... Okay, I got my word.
Yeah, okay.
Darn. We should bleep those.
We should bleep
those to make them seem worse.
Our guest today from Sandwiches of History, Barry Enderwick is here. Hi, Barry. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
We're so excited to have you. We're obvious fans. I think what you're doing is a great idea, and like I said, I was an early adopter. I want to say that, Nick.
Mitch got me on board with you, Barry.
Nice.
I've been watching you for a while now.
Your check's in the mail.
But I love the account. I love watching you. I watch you via Instagram, but I know you have other ways to watch you. It's one of those things when you see it, you're like, this is such a great idea to do this. It's such a great idea. I'm fascinated every day I tune in, whether it's a good sandwich or a bad sandwich that you're reviewing. But what made you think of the idea? What you're obviously a fan of sandwiches. You had to be a fan of sandwiches to get this all going. But what made you think of this?
A friend of mine, Adam Ledecker, sent me a PDF of the up-to-date sandwich book of 1909. And there were some dumb-sounding sandwiches in there. And I thought, well, these are pretty interesting. And Adam's nothing if not the guy that kind of like prods me along. And he says, that'd be pretty interesting to do a social media account with this. And I'm like, yeah, it would. So I did it. He didn't do it. I did it. So
is he now like, oh, I should have done it, or is he like?
No. He's a great friend, and he has no regrets. He's very happy being the poker, if you will.
That's great.
Well, as you probably experience like we do, you've committed yourself to eating a sandwich basically every day, correct? Like, do you sometimes double up on the sandwiches? Like, do you do like, hey, I'm going to do a few, like, I'm going to eat a couple in a row and then film them, or like, what's your whole, how do you map that out, I guess?
Well, I quickly moved from doing whole sandwiches to half sandwiches because I was running into some ones that were terrible, and I was ending up throwing out like almost an entire sandwich, and it just felt wrong. So I just, okay, we'll go to half sandwiches. But if the ingredients list sounds good, I'll do a whole one. Typically, I'll do one a day. Sometimes I'll do multiple a day, especially if I've got something going on with my day job where I'm going to be out of pocket for like a week. I need to make sure that I've got enough videos so that every single day there is a post.
You got to bank them. Bread bank them, if you will.
Bread bank.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do that as well.
We do that as well. Yeah, we'll sometimes record multiple episodes in a day, and then they'll come out, and then like enough time will pass where we forgot we did it. Yeah. Like, oh well, that one came out. Now people are reacting to this thing. I don't remember what I said.
And it's like could be like really bad. Like sometimes you'll see like, oh, they recorded like 3 episodes that day, and like we're both just kind of like, yeah.
Right.
That's 4 forks or whatever. Like
that's
we're
the
just wiped out.
That's the real challenge, isn't it? Because like if I do, because at one point I did like 7 in one day, and by the 7th one, it's like I was pretty sure people were just gonna be like, dude, what are you doing? Because like I thought like the energy was just terrible at the end. So I try to avoid that. I try to stick to 1 to 2 at most.
And you're stuffed at the end of that day too. If you're doing 7 sandwiches.
Well, I mean, like it depends. Like if it's going to be my lunch and I've kind of like planned ahead that's going to be my lunch, then yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm not really stuffed. But 7 or 8, I have to take a bite, and that's it. And then plus it up, take a bite, and then that's it. And then wrap the sandwich up and nibble on it for the rest of the week or whatever.
I was going to get to this later, but since you mentioned plussing it up, it's such an essential part of your account, and it's like such a like I'm fascinated by that aspect of it because it always feels like you make creative, sensible modifications that wouldn't necessarily have occurred to me. What is your process for plussing up a sandwich, plussing up an old recipe, and as you progress, has your process evolved at all?
Well, first of all, thanks. The whole idea of plussing it up was just sort of like a spur of the moment thing where there was a sandwich that I tried, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was like, this is good, but if you just added 1 or 2 things, it could be great.
Yes.
And then I started realizing that there's a lot of those sandwiches, so I just kept doing it. But I do try to limit the number of plus-up items that I use to like 2, maybe 3 total. I also try to, like, if it's a vegetarian sandwich, I'm not going to add bacon because it fundamentally changes the nature of the sandwich. If it's a tea sandwich, I'm not going to try and turn it into a bacon, a BLT, like, so just trying to be mindful of that. And then I try to think of textures, complementary flavors, contrasting flavors, and then also looking to other cuisines that use those similar ingredients that I can bring in different elements that would not be something that would necessarily be common or regular. Interesting.
Yes. I sometimes get mad when you don't add bacon. There's times where I'm like, I want you to add bacon.
I cannot tell you without fail, almost every single post gets someone in the comments just saying bacon with an exclamation mark. And it's like, I get it, but otherwise it's sandwiches of history with bacon, but every sandwich could be plussed up with bacon. That is for sure.
I 100% agree with you. I think it's the right move, but there's a few times where I was like, ooh, I wanted bacon on it. I wanted to do, and the other thing that, it's funny because when like we've talked about this before, when I hear from people who are like, I was yelling at you I was like friends from Quincy who will be like, I was yelling at my car speakers at you because I was mad at what you were saying.
But usually for us, that was usually something like, that sandwich place, Quinzo's.
Yeah.
And it's Quiznos, you idiot.
Quiznos, idiot.
Why are we saying Quinzo's?
Or we were like, Garfield, I think Garfield was like created in like 1999.
Yeah, Garfield
he wasn't
like
created
new.
in 1999.
He's a new dog. I love that new dog, Garfield.
Yeah, he's the newest dog.
Yeah.
Garfield is the newest dog. But like, that's where we'll be yelling, people will be yelling at us. For me, I'm never yelling at you, first of all. Next to Wally Norma, like I said, I'm in a very nice zone. But
you have to be a monster to yell at Barry. It's such gentle, magnanimous energy. Yeah,
he's a very nice man. But it's bacon, and a lot of times I want either it toasted or the grilled cheese treatment. There's so many of them the grilled cheese treatment, which you talk about on your show, is always great. But then sometimes toasting, because so many of these early bread recipes, which we can also talk about, they're buttered white bread.
A lot of butter.
Buttered white bread, and that which is like something I've never done that with the sandwich. Usually, is put like butter on it before the other ingredients. But it makes me want to try it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have a question to start this all off.
All right.
And I think this is like a potty winning question. I think you're going to agree. You talk sandwiches of histories. We want to hear about your history with sandwiches?
Yes, obviously.
Is that a Potty award-winning question or no?
Potty is, and just to be clear, this is still maintaining a PG episode. This is a PODDY. Like this is a pod.
All right, even if
podcasting award.
Yeah, even if it was a potty, you think that, what is that, PG-13?
It's a little naughty.
All right, okay.
Potty's naughty.
Potty, all right, potty is naughty. What's your history with sandwiches? Did you love them growing up? What were the sandwiches you ate most growing up? What sandwiches do you love the most? I want to hear everything.
Well, I would say that yes, I've always loved sandwiches. But growing up, the ones that I ate the most are the ones my parents made me, which were like a fried bologna sandwich, maybe fried egg sandwich, peanut butter and dill pickle.
Wow.
What's it?
Scrapple?
Oh yeah, scrapple. That's right. My dad used to fry it. Scrapple?
Yeah,
it's
scrapple.
From Pennsylvania, and
yes.
We can look at the root word to figure out where it starts. Scrap, and it's basically leftover parts in offal mixed with breadcrumbs and marjoram and other seasoning. And if you don't know what's in it, and you get it and it's fried up and it's crispy, it is delicious. Once you know what's in it, you might not want it.
Right.
It depends on your comfort level.
When you said you could look at the root word to figure it out, Weiger and I looked at each other quizzically, not knowing. we were like,
apple?
Apple? Oh, it comes from an apple.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, you eat an apple.
That checks out. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Fried bologna sandwich, not something I had a lot as a kid. I would have a big. This is now in hindsight, I think is disgusting, but I would have a bologna and ketchup sandwich, usually on a bulky roll.
That sounds like a kid sandwich. Yeah, it sounds like a kid sandwich.
It's
like having scrambled eggs and ketchup when you're a kid, right? You have scrambled eggs and ketchup. Yeah, it makes sense.
And sometimes sometimes like you have it yesterday. I still do ketchup with scrambled eggs, but not a lot of ketchup sandwiches in your
No, not a lot of ketchup. There are some sandwiches that use ketchup, but not a lot of ketchup. And full confession, every once in a while I'll have ketchup with scrambled eggs after like a run in the morning. I'll just want something comforting, and that'll be my go-to.
Oh, that's fun.
I love that.
Is the going back a second to talking about the sandwiches you were having growing up? I would infer there's a Pennsylvania connection from your mention of Scrapple. Is that your neck of the woods? Because I know you're up in NorCal now.
Yeah, I was born in Columbus, Ohio, but I only lived there for about 6 years. Only lived there for about 6 years. My mom was from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and my dad is from Saugus, Mass. And so
Massachusetts.
Between the two of them, they were a big influence. And my dad, of course, was in the military for a short time, so SOS was a sandwich that an open-faced sandwich that we would have. But it was decidedly not the schmancier one. It was the can of Campbell's soup, cream of mushroom condensed soup with budding lunch meat over toast. But it was tasty. I loved it.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Here's the thing is that, we're going to like I would like almost every sandwich even before the plus ups. I think we'd even like the yeast sandwich.
I know you would not. No. You would not.
That looked like that did look like one of the worst things you reached, which is another question I have here is what is some of your worst sandwich experiences. But what to you is like, what's the perfect sandwich? What makes a perfect sandwich? What's your perfect sandwich? For me, I'm just gonna say this. Mm-hmm. I said it before. We kind of drafted sandwich ingredients swags just recently, and I basically made a pastrami sandwich. But a pastrami with Swiss and mustard is just one of my favorite sandwiches. Mm-hmm. That's like an all timer for me. Or a Reuben. I guess a Reuben is up there. But
see,
how about for you?
You're starting to get into the dilemma of answering this question, because for me, it's the perfect sandwich depends on how full am I, what's the weather like, what am I in the mood for?
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes I want roast beef, blue cheese, and arugula. Sometimes I want a BLT with grilled shrimp. Sometimes I want like a pastrami sandwich, or I want a Reuben or a Kentucky hot brown if it's cold out and I'm starving. So for me, it really is contextual. Where am I at? So
I just ate lunch and that genuinely made me hungry. that list of sandwiches genuinely made me hungry. It was good.
Yeah. No, this is great.
That's good. It's a good thing.
I mean, honestly, like anything makes us hungry.
Yeah, anything. So. Yeah, we're kind of like the Hulk.
Yeah.
You know how the Hulk is always angry. We're always hungry. That's our secret.
Hulk smash.
Doughboy snooze. People just fall asleep.
Is there? I want to return to sandwiches, and we have so much sandwich to talk about. But I there was a bit about your bio that I was looking at on your website that I found fascinating, which is that I'll just read this from verbatim and let you comment on it. My professional background is in graphic design and marketing, including an 11-year run scaling Netflix from a small startup to an international brand.
Wow.
Can you talk about your involvement with Netflix at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was hired at Netflix in 2001, and we were it was about 150 people in the company, and then we had layoffs and went down to 75. And then just over the course of 11 years, I got paid to learn. I call it the best business school I could ever hope to go to, and I got paid to go there because I learned about brand, I learned about positioning, marketing, consumer research, and just really understanding how to connect a product or service to people who would actually find it valuable, as opposed to selling people something that they don't need. So it was fantastic, and I left in 2012. So
wow.
And that's one of those things where it ended up like, who needs Netflix is everybody. It just became completely ubiquitous once streaming took over.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, like I actually tried the service before I got hired, and this is like way early days. This is before they were in subscription. And the second I got the DVD in the mail, I'm like, this is going to kill Blockbuster, because it's so much more convenient and so much more focused on what me as a consumer wants.
Right.
Like I want what I want. Okay, I've got a list of DVDs that get sent to me. I don't have to worry about late fees. Great. I don't have to drive anywhere. Great. Like there were so many things that I'm just like, and of course, I can look back on that and go like, wow, I predicted Blockbuster would be done it. But I mean, there's no way.
Sure.
There's so many things that have to happen for what did transpire to transpire with Blockbuster. So I'm not saying like I called it, but for me, I was a kind of a true believer really early on.
At one point too, I know that wasn't there Blockbuster Netflix Blockbuster could have bought Netflix, right? Is that correct? Yep. There was a deal, something like that.
Yeah, 2002. Reed and Mark Randolph, co-founders, flew to Blockbuster and said, "Hey, you should think about buying us for $50 million." They were kind of laughed out of the room, and I think we all know how that went.
Yeah. That's wild.
Were you from your graphic design and marketing standpoint, like what exactly was your role, and were you ever like in a meeting and you were kind of like, guys, how about red? Like, did you have like influence on those kind of decisions?
No. So the color was chosen by our CMO, and she was hired a year before I got hired in.
Yeah.
And she very much said, okay, we need a brand. We need to have it consistently applied. And that's one of the things I learned. Like when I got hired, I was hired as a graphic designer. And over the course of time, I ended up working on initiatives to help figure out how people should sign up on PlayStation 3 when that was the thing.
Wow.
How to get website conversions up. How to, the credit card page, how do we optimize that? So things along those lines. And then we're also working with doing consumer research around brand positioning and like, what do people need us to be? What is it what is the role that we play in their lives? And how do we communicate that to people who are not customers yet?
That's good.
So you've kind of been like, it seems like your career arc, you've kind of been at both ends of like internet content, both like as part of this what ended up being this gigantic conglomerate that's everywhere, and now like it's you and it's your channel and it's your brand, and like you're basically the product. You're the Sandwiches of History guy, as well as the other channels. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of, it seems like perhaps you just have a knack for the internet.
I don't know. That's for someone else to decide. But I will say
I'm also on the content side, like as a creator, I'm almost like, oh, get out! Like we're the carnies. I don't, what I mean? Like I feel bad for anyone in the carny world that has to come and be like, look at us dance. You know what I mean? Like, but do you enjoy that? You get fulfillment out of this side of it more so than you did with the other side of it.
You mean creating content versus marketing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually do get a lot more satisfaction out of creating content because it's connecting with people around the world, and
right.
It's been amazing and eye-opening to me just how much sandwiches cuts across cuisines, cultures, countries. It's just been spectacular. I get messages from Europe, from Australia, I've had folks tune in from Africa for live streams. It's just like, what?
That's
so
awesome.
That's what's been great, and also the fact that people they want to play along. That's what's
Sure.
great. Even when they think I'm an idiot for the plus up that I chose, or they think that the rating is wrong and I'm wrong. The thing is, they're coming, they're being passionate about this idea of food and community. So I love it.
We were just talking about this because we were talking about the chain restaurants.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we do that every episode. I didn't want to spoil what the episode was.
Yeah.
But you were saying sandwiches, huh? America just loves the sandwiches.
Well, yeah. Well, on our side of things, Barry, because we talk about restaurant chains, and one thing we've noticed one thing we've just been tracking is like the ascendancy of chains like Firehouse Subs and Jersey Mike's and Capriati's. Of like, there for a while, the sandwich was either, you get it at a deli or a diner or a local shop. And then there was like the Subways of the world where it was like, this is your value play. But now there's like this new layer of like these kind of fast casual, a little bit more, higher end, a little bit more artisan, but still affordable sandwich shops. And it's been interesting to watch that evolve. But I think what all that speaks to is what you were saying, which is just like sandwiches are so universal. Like everyone wants something wrapped in or pushed together with bread. Like that's just like such a food that everyone eats everywhere in the world.
Well, and this is going to sound like hyperbole, but sandwiches are brilliant. Think about it. You can put together any combination of flavors from any cuisine, and it's portable.
Yes.
You're 100% right. It's true.
For our audio listeners, Barry just gave what I describe as a Michael Jordan-esque shrug at that insight.
If I was at Netflix, by the way, and I'd be like, how about Red? Or like, it's a great movie with Bruce Willis. It's like underrated.
Yeah, that's
I wouldn't have like the next level. Yeah.
You'd just be thinking very
Red and Red 2. That's what I would be thinking. Like, we can watch all the movies we want to watch.
You mean the Warren Beatty's Reds? Like, no, it's an unrelated franchise.
But I will say
all of them.
That was a great pickup on your part, though, because that was a conscious choice to make sure that red was everywhere. Our envelopes were red. Our website was red. I used red in banner ads that I had done like all the time. So that was a conscious decision. We wanted to, quote unquote, own that color in the entertainment space, much like Coke owns it in the beverage space.
Right.
Or Target and retail. Right.
Yeah.
100%.
So that was the idea behind having red.
And kind of
everywhere.
the opposite.
Not on everything, but
the opposite of Blockbuster too. Red and red,
it's a good
red
point.
is the opposite of blue in many ways.
Blue's mortal enemy, red.
Yeah.
For centuries, the two have fought.
Barry, I have a question for you. As far as you've tried sandwiches from basically every decade at this point, right? Where since sandwiches have been made and they wrote the recipes down. When to you did sandwiches take off? What decade was it like? All right, now we're cooking with sandwiches. Was there a time? Was there? Our engineer is laughing at my question, but
now we're cooking with sandwiches. Is a funny phrase.
But is there a time where was there a time where it's like we're cooking? We got like sandwiches are now.
Yeah, I would say now is the time. There's never been a better time for different combinations and sandwiches to be so widely available. But I think maybe to look at it more in the context of how was the evolution of sandwiches, right? Because it started off as like meat between bread. Congratulations, you've got a sandwich. And then it started moving on to like they'd add an ingredient or two, and then they'd add salad, and then they'd add all these things. And then by the 60s, they started getting a little loose with what they considered putting in bread. But
the swinging 60s, Austin was around.
Right,
things were going crazy.
But if you're talking about like sheer availability of amazing different ingredients, it's now, baby.
Wow, I love it. Also, to go back to Casey's favorite phrase, it was the dark ages of sandwiches. What to you,
Mitch? You could not be shaking your microphone arm more. This is a thing Emma talked about.
What to you, Barry, was the dark? Like, what is there like? if there's like a decade and like this decade and before it is like it's gonna be rough or it's not gonna be as good, or is it always kind of like
you get a 1916 recipe and you're like, oh boy, here we go? Is there a particular era that you're skittish about?
I would say that the early 1900s tends to have more recipes that are like what than others.
Yes.
But each era is definitely a mixed bag. There's some good ones and there's some just like highly questionable ones. So it's more of a like, yeah, which era do you want to talk about? And I can tell you which ones maybe are good or bad.
I had a question too, just about this. Maybe fits into it a little bit, but like when did buttering the bread? When did that kind of phase out? Was there a time where that stopped happening, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have any hard evidence, but it seems like it faded out probably in the 60s or 70s. And I think it had to do with a couple of things. One, breads were being made that were shelf stable, that wouldn't stale quickly.
Sure.
One of the reasons why bread was buttered so much is because the bread would stale quickly, and so they wanted to put some sort of layer there to keep it from falling apart. It would also act like kind of sandwich lube for the dry bread. As 60s or 70s, you're starting to get processed food and you're starting to get shelf stable breads, and there's also this push to margarine. It seems like that sort of like is when things fell apart for buttering bread. But my friends across the pond remind me quite often that it is still ubiquitous over in the UK for every sandwich to have butter on it, and even in other parts of Europe as well.
I gotta say, bring it back.
Nothing wrong with butter on a
Bring
sandwich.
Bring it back.
We were a margarine household. You mentioning margarine, and that's making me remember that. Yeah, that was a big part of like until I was a teenager. My family was on a margarine kick ostensibly for health reasons. But we would have margarine on sandwiches at times, and it would be for instance, like a tuna sandwich would have margarine on one side and mayo or mustard on the other side.
We were margarine house for a while, too, which was a phase.
Butter is way better. Butter is better than margarine.
And
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Margarine also just seems like it just seems like a carcinogen or something. It seems like it's it seems unnatural, which is like But Nick and I have talked about this a lot, just in the world of 80s low fat diet stuff where you had margarine and skim milk. Or
can I ask you about something which is a recent development with your account?
No, you can't.
Okay.
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
A recent development with your account, which is that you've had some Chat GPT generated sandwiches.
This is great.
Yes.
What is that like? Like, what was the inspiration for that? And have there been any particular misfires / unexpected successes?
So the thought behind firing up Chat GPT to come up with recipes for sandwiches was born of me playing around with it, because everyone's talking about, it's going to revolutionize marketing. You can create all kinds of content with it. And I've been playing around with it with different prompts, and I'm like, I wonder if I could do something with sandwiches with it. And so I asked it to write a sandwich recipe, and it basically gave me like a pastrami sandwich. It's like, okay, that's nice, but that's not interesting.
Yes.
So I added weird or unusual to the prompt, and it's come up with these recipes that they really just ride the line between that could be really good or really bad. And I haven't figured out. Then so far, the first few were like, I think this might not be very good, and it turned out to be quite good. And then the one I posted today sounded like it would be quite good, and it was.
This is the Sweet Heat Veggie Delight sandwich.
You got it.
Wow.
I watched one the other day that turned out good too, and I forget which one it was, but it was like a few wild ingredients that I did not think were going to be good, and you're like, this is shockingly decent. It seems like Chat GPT is doing a better job than you would think it would do with these weird sandwiches.
It is. It's scary. It's a little surprising. Honestly, it's a little surprising that it spits out these recipes, and I think, I don't know, and then I try. I'm like, all right.
Can we talk about, because you also have In the Chips with Barry, among other accounts, and Chips so often sandwiches little brother. I feel like as much as I love sandwiches, if I just have a sandwich, I always want something on the side. You know what I mean?
It's like sandwiches little brother.
Yeah, if it's even some coleslaw or like a side salad, but chips are my ideal. Do you have like just
much so that I told you that Jersey Mike's while we've been trying to eat better, which is people are like, you're going to Jersey Mike's? Yeah, I am, and it's okay. Again, a turkey and
progress, not perfection, in terms
100%.
of eating healthier. Yeah.
And a turkey and provolone on wheat is not bad for you. So, but I told you that I get baked Lays, and you're like, I'd rather have no chips than baked Lays. We were talking about this.
I think that's true. But I stand by that.
But you're the crunch factor is important.
It's huge. Yeah,
I'm not a huge chips in the sandwich guy, but there's a few times where I've enjoyed it. But I agree with you that it's the little brother. You need a side of something crunchy, and chips is usually what tops chips. You're not going to top it.
No, I think chips and sandwiches go hand in hand for sure. And I actually do like chips in a sandwich. I think they can enhance because they add texture and flavor, especially like a salt and vinegar chip in certain sandwiches is pretty brilliant. But yeah, no, I've been doing in the chips with Barry actually longer than Sandwiches of History, if you can believe it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been doing that for about 5 years. No,
wow.
I started doing that, and then Adam sent me the PDF, and I said, oh, well, I'll do some sandwiches. And it didn't go anywhere. Like, I did it for about, I don't know, a year, and it wasn't going anywhere on Instagram, so I just gave it up and let it kind of drift like a ghost ship for about 9 months to a year. And then TikTok came along, and what I was doing on Instagram was I was posting on my grid a picture of the sandwich, and then in the stories, which was new, videos of making it. And TikTok comes along, I'm like, well, what if I take the stories and put them on TikTok? And it just blew up. I'm like, what if I take the videos on TikTok and put them on Instagram? And then it started to blow up. So it's been a learning process and experimentation to try and figure out like what's going to connect with people.
Yeah, I've noticed so often your thumbnail is like you like biting the sandwich. It's like mid-bite with like what text of what the sandwich is, and that feels like maybe a thing that you discovered through running the account.
No, that's just I just liked it, and so I started doing it, and now
I love that.
That's one of those things. Like I hear people say, like, "Oh, I analyze my video analytics, I made watch times on YouTube to see when people drop off," and it's like I don't do any of that. I just make my videos, and if you watch and you enjoy them, great. And if you comment, great. If you don't like them, then go watch something you do like.
It seems like a great strategy. It's certainly working out for you. What you mentioned chips in a sandwich. I do have one thing I want to say real quick, Mitch, on that topic, which is I'll shout out someone in our Discord server, the Doscord, Super Amykins, who said their favorite sandwich, and I'm gonna give you these components, is white bread, mayo, tomatoes, sliced cheddar, and 4 or 5 Doritos smushed together.
I could see that working.
Yeah, it feels like it would work, right?
It feels like it would work. It's just kind of a basic. I need a little. It would need to be plussed up in my mind. But
gotcha.
It needs a little something else.
Maybe some bacon.
Well, you guys are aware that I actually sandwiched the potato chips in the chips with Barry as well, right?
Oh wow! Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Is there a like?
Look, we're not anti. I'm not anti.
I'm not anti that.
We're not anti. We're not anti.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just making you aware. That's all.
We're scared. We got scared for a moment. I had a great chips in sandwich, and I went to New Orleans. The Turkey and the Wolf in New Orleans, and
love that.
Oh, so good. It was so good.
I just did a collaboration with him yesterday. I just posted that with Mason Hereford from Turkey and the Wolf.
Incredible! Oh, he's great. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And this is also I wanted to give you a compliment on. We've had this show for 7 years. I did like I just said a tasty little number. I could plus this sandwich up. Give this sandwich a go. The best catchphrase we have is "Wow."
Wow. Yeah.
And so you've just done such a great job of creating the little sayings and things that people. My buddy Micus has a T-shirt with a tasty little number, I believe, on it, and so we've done such a bad job at that. I just want to give you some credit on it.
The way you said bad, though, kind of like a sheep, that could be something.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, there you
bad.
go. Yeah.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
But I mean, honestly,
I'm
like
all
those things I say, that's just what I say. That's like how I mean, unfortunately for my significant other, that's how I talk in real life. So she's heard them all. So, but I keep repeating them because that's how I talk, and they caught on.
Well, there's also that sort of thing of like there's a pure joy of sandwiches there, and now I got to ask you the question: Have you tired at all at sandwiches now? I mean, like, it seems like a thing that's impossible. Yeah, no, it just doesn't happen, right?
No.
It doesn't happen to us. I mean, that's the thing. It's like people are like, like, oh, man, so you eat fast food for a living and then do you not, like, you never want to get it outside? I'm like, no, I want Taco Bell and Wendy's all the time. I love it.
This
like,
conversation is making me want sandwiches so bad. Like, I'm constantly thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I get asked that a lot of like, oh, are you burned out on sandwiches? And it's like, well, it's a half sandwich once a day.
Sure.
I eat other food. Like, I eat a breakfast. I'll eat, sometimes I won't eat a breakfast, but I'll definitely eat dinner. And so a lot of the dinners are not really fatty or meat laden or anything like that. So, it's about balance. I'm still all in on sandwiches though. No way.
That's we talked about this. I had sweet greens buffalo chicken salad for lunch. Great hot sauce in that. I was telling you. But I would so much rather have a sandwich. And it's that sort of thing of, I think we both we're trying to watch weight or whatever, and then it's not even it's not even the truth is that you have to stay away from sandwiches. But I feel like in the last like 15 years, that's also been a thing of like, don't get a sandwich. You're not supposed to have a sandwich.
Well, that actually does make me wonder a little bit, Barry. Were you ever caught up in the low carb craze? Were you ever someone who was like, you know what, bread is the enemy? I gotta get bread out of here.
I tried Atkins when it first came out back. I don't know, or when I first heard it, I guess back in the early 2000s for like a week. And that week was not something I want to repeat. I love bread. I love carbs. I'm not going to give them up. I do try to balance things out, so I'm not just eating tons of carbs all the time. But no, I have no reaction to gluten, so there's no reason there for me to give it up there, and I enjoy it.
Okay, go on, Mitch. But I want to talk more about chips because go on.
This brings me to another area. It's like, it's kind of like the dad of the sandwich, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bread. And what?
Yes, bread kind of is the dad of the sandwich.
Well, chips are the little brother.
And bread, of course, you know how like a sandwich, it's like the dad is a big part of it in the same way that you take a Y chromosome. Right? You take one chromosome from your father and one chromosome from your mother.
I was going to say the meat is the mom. She holds
this
everything
has
together.
been fun, guys. I got to go. I'll see you.
Went home, the lettuce is an uncle.
We're not done yet. We'll make way more sense. But as far as you're concerned, what's the best bread in a sandwich? You got to give us your rankings of bread. It's a huge factor in sandwiches. Why? Because it's an important thing to think about.
You're not going to like my answer because once again I'm going to say context matters. So what's going between the bread has to play along with or contrast with the bread that you're using. So Jewish rye is great, but it's not going to work for a peanut butter sandwich very well, I think. Because I don't think caraway and peanut butter necessarily work that great. Some people will disagree. I know I'll probably hear about it, but that's fine. But it
sorry
really
if you have some enraged Doughboys fan yelling at you about that.
It will happen no matter what.
Let me tell you, I'm used to being simultaneously nailing it and dead wrong on every sandwich. In the comment
the creator
section.
Side of the world. Yeah, that's it.
But I mean, again, as long as they're not being mean-spirited, that's fine. They're just passionate. So it's cool.
Barry is. This is how you know that Barry is no stranger to making content for the internet. Is that continually being conscious of context, because context collapse happens and you nail someone with one like hey, I got you. You said this one thing, but what about this situation? But yeah, you gotta context always.
Well, guess
matters.
what, Wags? I'm gonna push back a little bit here.
Okay.
What would you say is your favorite bread? There you go.
Oh, my favorite bread, hands down, is Acme Baking Company here out of South San Francisco's Herb Slab.
Wow.
And it's kind of like a rosemary flavored, halfway between a ciabatta and focaccia. Wow. And it is ridiculous. It's delicious. I could just eat the loaf by itself.
That sounds really good.
Wow.
That sounds really good.
Emma perked up on that, by the way.
Yeah. It's
Emma looks interested when you're talking and then asleep while we're talking.
I love sandwiches. What can I say?
So
and you don't like the breakdown of like what part of a sandwich is a family member?
That confused me a bit, I'll be honest.
Going back to chips. Okay, so
Yes.
you're at a vending machine, and what's a chip that you're hoping, like a mainstream chip? Because I know you're taste testing chips from a bunch of different like a lot of times smaller companies. You're testing them from all over the world. Is there there's a Frito-Lay chip, or there's a big mainstream chip that I'm always happy to see?
It's not going to be in a vending machine, but Ruffles sea salted. I could eat a bag of those any day, just plain. They're so good. Kettle brand jalapeno chips. That would be in a vending machine.
Those are really good.
I would definitely be able to plow that down. There's salt and vinegar as well. But Lay's. My issue with Lay's is the thinness of the potato chips, because what ends up happening is you get one or two big chips, and then the rest is just debris.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter if your flavor is great if I have to use the claw to get debris out to try and feed it into my mouth.
Right. Another way to think about it is you've got like a mommy chip and a daddy chip, and then a bunch of little baby chips.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We're doing this again, huh?
And that burnt little that's like Auntie Doris. You're like, oh man.
Oh, Doris showed up. This is going to be an interesting Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I shouldn't have used my actual aunt's name. I love you, Auntie Doris. Anyway.
Wait, that's your real aunt?
Yeah. I was trying to think of an aunt's name, and I went with a real one.
Barry, I'm curious, pivoting from chips to because you've got a bunch of different channels. You're covering a bunch of different foodstuffs.
Right.
Barry's ice cream o'clock is something talking with a treat that is near and dear to my heart. Because I am a creamsman. I love ice cream. It's my favorite dessert. If I could have one dessert, it would be that. Do you feel similarly? Are you an ice cream fan first, or was where does it rank in your hierarchy of sweet treats?
It's easily in the top two, I would say.
Wow.
Ice cream or dark chocolate. Anything dark chocolate. I just absolutely love it. But Barry's ice cream o'clock, I was just I got inspired to make sweet savory combinations, because I had this idea, I think what kicked it off was, I really love Thanksgiving stuffing. I absolutely love it. I could eat it any time of year. And I thought, well, wait a sec. What if we make a butter flavored ice cream and then put all the herbs and stuff that go in and some breadcrumbs and make a sweet savory combination? So I made a Thanksgiving stuffing ice cream, and it was delicious. So that kind of set the ball rolling. I've got other combinations that I try, some not so successfully, some successfully.
I was mad at you for going off the sandwich track, and then it turned out to be a great question. I was mad. Barry, as far as plussing up a sandwich, giving the sandwich a go, I feel like what's my question here is what's the biggest plus up that you've ever done to a sandwich? Is there one that I've watched? I feel like I've watched maybe almost every video you've done on sandwiches history on the page. But is there something? And is usually a plus up can only knock it up like a couple points in your book? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So first of all, my mind is like a steel sieve. Everything just slips right through it. So I don't have it off the top of my head. But I will say, I think the biggest plus up has been 3 points. A 3-point bump. And I can't think of an example of one off the top of my head, which is problematic. But
no.
And I'm sure people, this is the thing, the plus ups have gotten people mad at you too. It's that sort of thing it's but that to me is can one plus up take a sandwich from a 5 to a 9? And I think it's impossible, right?
Yeah, I mean, if that'd
be tough.
That's a big gap. That's a lot of ground to make up. And also to what you were saying earlier, Barry, of at a certain point, the plussing up starts to fundamentally alter the nature of the sandwich, and then then what are we doing here?
But
exactly. Do people get very into your scoring details? Because they do with us too.
Yes.
And I'm going to say it right now, it means nothing. Our scores mean nothing
for us. You mean?
Yeah.
You're not speaking for Barry.
Yeah. Oh no, not for Barry.
Yeah,
that's a good show.
No.
For us, the scores mean nothing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, people definitely love to say we're getting too many sevens here, or how is that a 7.5 when this sandwich was a 4.5? Which is actually kind of cool, because that means they're into it.
Yes, for sure.
But and I have to kind of remind people again, context. Some sandwiches are intended as tea sandwiches, so it could be an 8.5 tea sandwich, but it's not the same as an 8.5 club sandwich.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. It's not. They're not. I'm not evaluating them in the same scale or the same system.
I never have it. I always see you doing tea sandwiches, and I'm like, man, that's so fun. I never have a tea sandwich.
We have a lot of low tea sandwiches. Just a sandwich that one of us eats. Is that automatically?
Now you're a little naughty.
I think it's still PG.
Barry, I got to ask you. I mean, I think the idea is so good, and maybe this is something we can't talk about. Maybe it's something we got to edit out. But have you ever had the urge to make this a bigger show? I mean, like, I think that, like, if I turn on Food Network, I see Sandwiches of History. I'm gonna be watching Sandwiches of History. I think it's fascinating. But is it something that you would like to do? Is it something that you've kind of plan on doing, or what's the deal?
Yeah, so actually a TV production company approached me last year to try and develop it into a pitch. And I thought, yeah, okay, let's try it. And it coincided, them finishing the pitch coincided with the severe cutbacks at all streaming services and networks.
Right.
And it never really went anywhere. But yeah, I'd love to do something that's more widely available. I don't want to give up doing what I'm doing now, though. Posting every single day, because I think that's kind of fun. And I get notes from folks who are like, man, I look forward to this every day. And I'm like, right on. Okay. So,
if we sold the TV show, the podcast is done the second we sell it. But I want to give you some advice. If you go into Netflix, if you go back to your home, and you meet with an executive, don't drop a coffee right at his feet. Like his or her feet, like Weiger did at our Netflix meeting.
Yeah, maybe don't spill an entire cup of coffee on the feet.
So maybe like a half cup.
I would probably
half
say
cup is probably better.
Half cup is definitely better, but I would aim for like don't spill any coffee.
Don't spill anything. And then definitely don't wipe it up and then shake the executive's hands with a shaky hand in a wet coffee napkin in your hand.
What was I supposed to do?
That's also my other pointer.
Well, I mean, I didn't spend any time in the content acquisition side of Netflix, but I can confidently say that did not deep six anything. They probably looked at numbers and like what
content too. They probably they just watched our show once. Listened to the show.
I don't know about that, but yeah, we'll see. I am going to be hopefully here starting working on a cookbook. They'll have
that's great.
The old recipes, plus ups, and then recipe remixes in there.
I love that.
Is there because I mean, like what you were just saying a second ago about like you make content every day and then people look forward to it, and this is a thing that I find myself trying to remind myself of, because it seems like you have not reached a point where you're kind of burned out or jaded. It seems like you still have like this passion for what you do. Maybe at some point sometimes it feels like a slog, but I just like Mitch, you and I sometimes get really upset about the thing that you seem to have very a more tranquil attitude towards, which is like the haters, the detractors, the people who are carping on your content. Mm-hmm. You seem to have a little bit more of a saner approach towards that, but also like what you were saying about like people look forward to what you're doing, and that's like a thing that they enjoy in their lives. Mm-hmm. Like that's a thing that I think is helpful to remember. And I don't know. It's just you saying that was helpful for me to internalize it yet again.
Yeah. Can you just help us be more like you, I guess?
We want to be like you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys have to get DMs all the time of people saying how much they look forward to your show and how much they it's like picks them up. It's part of their day. Like, I get notes like that all the time. And that's the thing. It's just like, wow. Like people say like, oh, I was going through some, a really rough time and I was able to watch your Sandwiches of History, and it really kind of relaxed me and helped me get through it. And it's just like, wow. I thank you for sharing that. That's insanely gratifying to hear that these goofy little videos could have any part in helping someone get through a tough time. So, and like parents send me videos of their kids doing Sandwiches of History, their version of Sandwiches of History all the time. And it's adorable. And it's just like, oh yeah. So you just got to remember there are people out there who actively look forward to and love your content. You're going to have people who are going to try and tease you out and try and get you to be mean spirited or whatever, just ignore them. Or
That's
if they're
advice.
if they're really jerks, block them.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great point. I mean, look,
man, Barry rules.
Yeah, Barry rules.
Barry rules.
I don't know about that.
This I feel like we both feel like Scrooge learning a lesson, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Barry's like the ghost of like Christmas past or something, teaching us a lesson. But
if I may, I'm gonna share. It's gonna be kind of, I don't know. Well, maybe you can edit it out.
Sure.
But one of the brand lessons I got from Netflix is that if you want to be a first place brand, you act like a first place brand. And if you're a first place brand, you don't waste time talking about second place. You don't waste time focusing on negatives about the other guy. You focus on the positives about your stuff. And so it is almost kind of like that. I'm not saying I'm first place brand, but what I do is try to focus my energy on the positive and not get dragged into being negative or combative. It's just like, okay, you're being an unbelievably disrespectful jerk. I'm just going to block you and move on.
Yeah.
So that's the idea.
So I think the thing is that, like, Wags, I think you have to block me.
Yeah, that might be. You are my number one hater.
Mitch, I think you need to block the Reddit.
I think I might have to block the Reddit. But that's a great point. That is a great point. You know, Barry does rule. That's a great. And we do get a lot of those nice comments and stuff like that too. I don't know why we focus on the haters so much.
It's just interesting to like, because so often it feels like, Mitch, we're talking to people who are other podcasters or people who are like, in the entertainment industry as actors or writers or people who are work in the food industry in like a different capacity. But like someone who I feel like what Barry does is very analogous to what we do, but just in a different way. And like we don't normally have a guest like Barry.
A lot of different things. Yeah,
it's better. Yeah, it's good. But this is I don't know. This is all good stuff. I do have a thing I want to pitch you, Barry, and this is a thing I was thinking about, and I wonder. And Mitch, you and I discussed this.
Is this what you just talked about just recently?
Yes, but it's not. I don't think it's what you're thinking of. Okay. So Chipotle has had a lot of success. Now a top 10 chain in terms of sales, nationwide, and a big part of that is that they got their burritos, they got their tacos, but you know what? They have their bowls. Like they have the essence of a burrito. You can kind of get like an approximation of what you really want, but in a slightly more healthful form factor in the Chipotle bowl. And there's a lot of places that do bowls now. But I feel like if you look at a chain like Jersey Mike's with their sub in a tub, they haven't really figured out the sandwich in a bowl.
Wise is right.
Is the sandwich in a bowl just a non-starter? Is the bread, because it's the sandwich's dad, just so essential that you can't make a sandwich without it? Or do you think there's some way that you could make a sandwich bowl actually, something that you would crave?
So first of all, if they're actually calling it sub in a tub, I think they need to work on their naming, because that just sounds like you're a glutton. But
sounds like Brendan Fraser in The Whale. That'd be a scene.
It's like, I think some sandwich fillings could be made into bowl meals, but not all. And I do think that when it comes to sandwiches, bread is kind of important. Like it acts as sort of like a neutralizer so that sharper flavors don't overpower the sandwich, right? So for me, it's kind of essential. I think that they could. I think they absolutely could find a way to put a sandwich in a bowl without the bread. But then, at that point, kind of becomes a salad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even with meat.
It's true.
Sub in a tub sounds like you and my our Friday nights. I agree with you. I think the naming is bad. I just also I think it's an essential part of the sandwich. I just think like we were saying, maybe you can like kind of have like soft croutons or something. You know what I mean? Like it's like pieces of bread, but people will get them. It's a low carb thing. That's why people get them.
Right.
So it's just like maybe just the idea of it just doesn't work. Wags. I don't know.
Maybe maybe they should try the In-N-Out animal style where they wrap it in lettuce.
Hey man,
I feel like sometimes that's the better route. But I don't know. Like I know that what's the sub place that does that? I mean, a lot of sub places do it, but the one I don't like, the guy who kind of
I know what you're talking about, Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's says the lettuce wrap.
Lettuce wrap. It doesn't. That still is missing something for me too, though.
I wouldn't call it okay. If they call it a lettuce wrap, that's part of the problem, right? No one's going to a sandwich shop and going, "I would like a lettuce wrap." That's not something what people want. But you go to In-N-Out and I say I want it animal style. I want it protein style. I want it like whatever they've got it down as far as like what you name it, so that people are like, yeah, I want that. So I think they need to work on the naming first.
I think that might be.
I think they can work though. Using lettuce as bread.
Someone who was in marketing, I think maybe it's just the marketing side of it too, Wags. That could be it.
Barry, does it sway you at all though, the lettuce wrap thing? Because Mitch has a lettuce wrap,
and I'm like, I mean, he's gonna walk away after this. It would be funny.
Well, we're
Barry,
almost at the
a very kind man. Like at the end of this, like those dumb doughboys, I hate them. But lettuce wrap, it's the lettuce wrap, and I'm like, mayo meat, that's what I want. Oh, God. Order that sandwich at a restaurant. That's the lettuce wrap.
Very good, yeah.
That's a lettuce wrap.
I feel like you could preface that with, hey, kids, do you like rap?
Hello, fellow kids. That's the Steve Buscemi meme,
exactly.
Basically.
Hello.
Is it fellow students or fellow kids?
I think it's fellow kids.
Kids, yeah.
You could also start off with, hey, kids, do you like hop hop? Just get it completely wrong.
Yes.
Barry, I got two kind of big questions. I know we're getting short on time here.
Yeah.
One is, you've done sandwiches of future history. And how far back are you planning to go? What's I don't know what the furthest back you've been with the sandwich, but like, we're gonna get medieval? Are we gonna go prehistoric? I know that there's no written record of it, but
there is
our
a
engineer is
sandwich.
also again laughing at my serious questions.
Yes.
I think it's a legitimate question, Mr.
Thank
Engineer
you.
Man.
Thank you, Casey.
I like the question. It's a good question. A prehistoric sandwich.
Are you gonna, how far back? How far back will we go? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I actually don't know the history of sandwiches. I know there's the Earl of Sandwich. I don't know how real that is. I don't know if sandwiches were made in New England or what the deal is. But there's always been some sort. There for a very long time. There's been bread, meat, and bread. Right?
Yes, absolutely. The Earl Sandwich did a good job getting his name on it. He knew about branding apparently. But the oldest sandwich I've done is from 200 BC. It's Chinese, and I just want to say I apologize for my pronunciation because it's not going to be right, but it's ro ju mo, and it's almost like an arepa where they make this sort of like almost muffin type thing and cut it in half and then fill it with this unbelievable combination of spices because it was along the spice route. Meat and beef, and now in a lot of places pork, but in the area where it was developed, apparently it was beef, and it is delicious. I've done that sandwich, and it is ridiculously tasty. There's also the Hillel sandwich, which is a 1st century BC sandwich from the Jewish faith that I'm going to actually be doing for Passover, which is 1st century BC. So there's some older ones, but I mean, there's a huge gap between that and 1700s. So if people were eating sandwiches, they weren't recording them.
Yeah, that's. It's also a funny thing to just think of when I think of hundreds of years ago. You're like, they didn't have anything tasty back then, but of course, they were. Wags. It's and also I just thinking about the branding of like if it was the Earl of Tub who was like, I doth thee sub in a tub. I'm saying like back in the day.
Yeah. Well, the Earl of Sandwich wasn't thinking about the Earl of Tub because he's like, you don't think about this guy who's coming in second. Think about yourself. Act like you're in first place. We got to stop going after the deli boys. That's the thing.
I know.
Focus on the Doughboys. Don't talk about how much we hate the deli boys.
Barry.
Yes.
Now I want to speak quickly about future of sandwiches.
Yes.
Okay.
And I know that you've done Chat GPT, right?
Yes.
Sandwich recipes. But are there any trends you're seeing in sandwiches? Are there anything that you see that are going to be popular? We've talked about
just the way you teed this up was like you were talking about like climate change. It's like we got to talk about the future of sandwiches.
Oh no, all that stuff will work itself out. I'm interested in the trends of sandwiches, where you see sandwiches going in the next few years. Is there a certain sandwich that you think, like for instance, the chicken sandwich has been very big in fast food. Popeyes had one. then KFC did one, and then all Wingstop, all these other places did it. Is there a sandwich you see coming up that's like maybe, hey, I think banh mi's are gonna like really go wild in a little bit, or is there
banh mi's deserve to go wild because they're
true,
amazingly delicious. But I don't have my finger on the pulse of pop culture with regard to what is happening in the sandwich scene. I do notice that there are a ton of sandwich shops that have popped up that are doing multi-meat, interesting combination of how they dress the lettuce, different cheeses, and they're huge. They're very big sandwiches. That seems to be the thing now. They're delicious, but at my age, I make a meal, two or three meals out of them.
That's a great point. I'm never. We've talked about this, Wags, but like if a stacked sandwich, sometimes you can go too big with the meat. Me, I went to Nate Now's Deli. I don't know if you've ever been there, Barry, but a lot of great deli spots in LA. But the pastrami sandwich was stacked high, and it was good for me, but it was big, and I think a little too much more would have been too much.
You don't want more than a mouthful. You want to be able to get a good healthy chunk.
Yeah, and I think it can be done well. There's a place in San Francisco called Deli Board that makes these sandwiches that do, like, they put brisket, they put pastrami, like they do layers, but they do interesting combinations of flavors. But it's not so ridiculously huge that you're going to grow old with it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's that. I mean, like when it's like eating an apple or something. That's what, like when I'm just like, I can't, like, I'm biting into a thing. I'm not biting around it. That's too much for me.
Don't get me started on apples. Have gotten too big. We've been enlarging apples. I need like a snack-sized apple.
Yeah.
We get these big like softball apples these days. They're too big.
Yeah.
Scale down apples.
I actually agree. I'm with you on that. I'll sign that petition.
All right.
Who are you gonna send it to? Wags?
Big Apple.
Yeah, Big Apple.
New York?
Yeah. Big Apple and then Tim Cook.
Yeah.
You said you had a friend. What did you have?
No, I just had a friend who years ago articulated of just like he's like, a good sandwich, you kind of get 3 perfect bites. It's just you get like the those bites where they really like all the components all come together in one. And you ideally want that to be like, you want one of those to be like a closing bite. But I think a big part of it is like, it's just getting all the ingredients in proportion so that, like what you were saying, Mitch, it's not out of whack. It's not this big mountain of meat that you can't wrap your mouth around.
Yeah.
And actually how you layer the sandwich matters. I was just reading something, or I just saw a video from my man Jim, who goes by Sandwich Idiot on TikTok, and he was talking about this other guy, my friend John, who's Sandwich Dad on TikTok, about talking about how, like, if you put the mustard, the pickles, and the ketchup on the bottom of a hamburger, when you bite into it, your tongue goes up through the bottom of the bun, gets those ingredients, then catches the burger, as opposed to the other way around. So, and putting mustard on meat is one of those rules that people have about sandwich building. So it's just so that way you get the right contrast and the right flavor profile.
Barry, is there? I like Big Apples. I thought you would like Big Apples, but I'm a Big Apple fan.
I just need them. I need them to scale down a little bit. I just I can't at a certain point. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I need like half this thing. I'm like, what am I going to save half an apple?
Maybe
it's a commitment.
Maybe Weiger will do history of apples on. There's like 3 subscribers.
I did review an Arkansas black apple on TikTok, and you know what? People liked it.
All right. I don't know if people liked it, quote unquote.
Got a few faves.
Slow your roll, apparently.
Barry, is there anything you don't like on a sandwich?
I'm not a huge fan of offal or organ meats, head cheese, and such. That said, I did do a chicken liver sandwich recently. It was the first time I've ever had chicken liver, because I figure, I got to do the ones that I'm not comfortable doing to some extent. I absolutely cannot do a brain sandwich. That would just
that's tough.
That would just freak me out. I can't do it. And then anything that has truffles on it, I can't eat. It just doesn't work for my palate. Not at all.
Interesting.
And it's not that I think truffles are terrible and that you're dumb for liking truffles. It doesn't work with my palate. It tastes like a burning tire fire.
It's almost like a cilantro thing going on
that's always funny to me when there's cilantro on a sandwich and people are like, the soap weed. I'm like, Yes, you have the gene that makes it taste like soap. I get it.
I love cilantro. I like it.
Me too.
I do too.
Me too. Yeah.
It's great.
Man,
Great on
absolutely.
sandwich. And you know what? Great on a banh mi, which I think if you want to buy some sandwich stock, it sounds like maybe banh mi's are taking off.
I hope they do.
Also, though, good on a bang me is like, I'll just take some pate. I'll take some hedge cheese.
Okay.
So I will take some offal sometimes, depending on the context.
I'm with you, Barry. I'm more on that side, but I've tried it, especially out here with taco shops. You can get a lot of different
and like something
like that.
Something like pate is like, it doesn't really look like what it came from. So
sure.
Yeah.
I can get into that, and it tastes delicious. So then, okay. But, when I have to actually cook the kidneys, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it, but I won't necessarily, well, I may enjoy it. I don't know. I do try to keep an open mind that I might actually like the flavor of something, even if I don't like the preparation or the looks of it.
Sure.
Well, everything you're eating every day, I'm jealous, and I want to try. I basically want to try it for myself. But
yes,
you should.
I can't recommend your show enough, Barry. You kill it, and I hope that it brings you a lot of success. I want to see it on one of the food channels, but it's great, and you do bring a lot of people joy.
Yeah,
you brought us joy as well.
Including us, and thank you so much for giving us so much of your time, Barry. Sandwiches
absolutely.
of History is the account, as well as In the Chips with Barry, Craft Beer Barry, and Barry's Ice Cream O'Clock. I believe that's the full roster. Let me know if there's anything I missed. But Barry, anything you'd like to plug, or anything else you want to tell us about the accounts?
No, thanks for having me on. I very much appreciate it, and you guys are awesome.
God bless
you're
you.
awesome. Yeah, we'll have to
you're the best,
review
Barry.
a restaurant with you at some point, maybe a sandwich spot in the future.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Where are you
Or
guys in
maybe
LA?
Yeah, we're in LA.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's no
So, yeah, if you're
shortage
ever
of
down here, we'll
sandwich
figure it out.
spots down there. Yeah.
Hey, but you know what? We could hit up the Earl of Sandwich himself.
Or we could do a little curveball. We got Barry from History of Sandwiches, and you know what we're reviewing? Soup. People lose their minds.
The
They really
cousin
would.
of sandwiches?
Yeah, sandwiches cousin, soup. Thanks so much, Barry.
You're welcome. Thanks for having
Were
me
you
on.
going to say, Barry? You were going to say, I'm not doing that? I couldn't hear you there.
No, I'm really fascinated by the desire to create a family tree for all these different foods. That's awesome. You actually should make that into a poster and sell it.
All right, great. We got a
That's
month's
great
worth of
advice.
episodes.
We should bleep
sorted.
that out.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. We kept it PG, but it was still very dumb on our end. So but we tried.
It was still on brand for
Yeah,
us.
it was still on brand. Barry, thank you so much.
Thanks, Barry.
Yeah,
All right,
you're the
thanks.
best. We look forward.
Thank
I'll be
you so
watching
much.
you every night. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
that's this week's Doughboys Double. Bye.
See ya.
Doughboys Media.